I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I don't want to hurt your mind. But I want to prick your conscience that perhaps we may save our young girls. What is at the root of this molestation of our children? What is at the root of it? I tried to analyze it. I have some knowledge by the grace of God of its root, but at this time I'm not ready or willing to expose the root. But I want to look at the branches and work down the branches and ultimately get to the root. The effect of child molesting on young girls and boys is such that for the father who engages in such, or the mother who engages in such, the penalty ought to be death. Little girls fall in love with their father. The little girl, if you watch her carefully, is a born consoler of the man. She will lay her head on his chest. When she senses his problems, she will pat him. Doesn't have to be but a year or so old. You'll see these tendencies coming out of her. She grows up, if there's a man in the house and he's good, she loves him. She adores him. She will do what she thinks to please him. From making his favorite dessert, ironing his shirt, getting up in the morning while the wife is asleep, and making his breakfast. The daughter, at a certain age, would even compete with the mother for the father's love and attention. The daughter, if the father comes home late, will get up in the night to see what daddy needs. Fathers, you have to know how to handle that kind of love, admiration, adulation, which borders on worship. You have to know what your role is, and to know that through you and the love that your female children have for you, you are setting a standard by which she will measure the men that come into her life. You are not to tamper with her. You are to take that love that she has for you, feed it, nurture it, help it to grow, and then direct it outward, that she will find a man. And when she finds a man, she will look at him and say, is he like my father? I found somebody, Daddy. Who did you find, honey? Somebody that reminds me of you. Isn't that wonderful? But when a father is unable to handle that admiration and adulation, seeing the wife growing old before his eyes, growing into another kind of beauty, she lacks the firmness in body that she had when you fell in love with her. She lacks the beautiful form that she had when you fell in love with her. But Lord, she produced a daughter that looked just like her. And so sometimes a man looking past the woman whose love has grown cold for him, who doesn't serve him in the way that she used to serve him, he looks past the wife and sees growing in his daughter the wife again. How blind can you be that you see her as your wife when she was young rather than your daughter? And so the child molester will begin hitting on the child, not showing real love, real affection, but getting a satisfaction personally from squeezing the child, sitting the child on its lap, feeling a sensation from the child sitting in his lap. He begins to become excited and think strange thoughts. Oh, mothers, you're too careless with your children. Mothers, you are too careless with your daughters and your sons. Have your mind set on so many things in the world. You don't focus enough on your children. And some of you that have growing daughters have fallen in love with another man after the first man, the father of your daughters, has left you alone, feeling a biological and a human need. You go out and find a man that loves you, you think, and you love him, but he's looking past you to your budding daughters. You bring him into the house. A man is not married. You want a man to take care of him, to spoil him, because you have a sexual need that has overridden your balance as a human being and the protector of your children. So while you are away at work, he is home at play with your daughters, 13 and 14 and 15 years of age. He has a field day there. And when you come home from work, you wonder why he doesn't have a sexual appetite anymore. Because his appetite is being satisfied by your own daughters. And when you find them pregnant one day, and you ask, who is the father? She don't want to tell you that it's your own husband. But sometimes in my own history and experience, the mother already knows. But the mother is too weak and cowardly to confront that man for fear of losing what she never had at all. Looks the other way, like an ostrich with her head buried in the sand, knowing that her own husband is playing with her daughter and playing with her. The daughter sometimes will tell the mother, and the mother will fly in a rage and attack the daughter. Cowardly woman. You don't even deserve the children that you have been blessed to have, because your child, when it cries out, the mother is supposed to listen and stand up and fight for your children. You make excuses for the no good man. You hold him around another day, another week, another month, that he may continue to go through your children. Your children then begin to lose respect for your mother, and then they begin to hate you because they cried out, but you wouldn't listen. They tried to tell you in their own little way. Children don't want to hurt their mothers, but they give you a signal, but you're too busy looking other directions. children. I don't know how a baby of a year and a half could escape a mother's vision that she's being molested. Mother, who's washing your children? You bring them into the world and let somebody else bathe them. Somebody else change. But when you change your baby's diaper, you have to look. And as you're washing and cleaning your baby, you have to see. And if you see something there that you shouldn't be seeing, you can't blind yourself. Oh, no, it can't be. Oh, hell, it is. What should your response be? Immediately, your love ceases in that household for the male members until you find the culprit. Immediately, you become the policeman in that house. Immediately, you become the sheriff in that house. I don't give a damn how big and strong a man. He can't do nothing with a woman when a woman wants to defend her child. A man can't whoop you, sister. Not when your love for your child is in flames. He can't do nothing with you, woman. You just got to be a woman to fight for what God has blessed you to come from your womb. That's your responsibility, and you must never, never shut it for no child time nigga to lay in a bed. Little girls who go through this sometimes wish for death. Little girls who go through this, they go to school and they look at the other children and they wonder, are they going through it too? And it builds up a pressure on their brains because they want to tell somebody, but who can they tell? Who will believe their report? So they keep it in themselves and suffer. Oh, before their time. But what's going on? What damage does it do to the little girl's mind? It's a destructive thing, brothers. Most of those who have been sexually abused, according to a study written by Dr. Gary May, titled Understanding Sexual Child Abuse, it mentions at least one psychoanalytic study of children who have been raped indicates that the children, once they become adults, feel a compulsive, traumatic sexual act over and over again. This has serious ramifications for the continual cycle of abuse on their own children. Sometimes, if you will study the rapist in the society, it goes all the way back to their own child abuse. And now as they grow up, not being able to shake the traumatic effect of that abuse of their bodies on them, they inflict the same thing on others. Young girls who have grown up maybe in their own families, when their fathers do this to them, brothers, they cannot hardly love a man ever again. All men seem to them as dogs. Most of the prostitutes that are out there tonight selling their bodies are victims of child abuse, child molestation, fathers and uncles, brothers jumping on their sisters, fathers destroying their daughters, and now the daughter feels, since men are such dogs, I might as well make a living in it. And so they don't care anymore. Over and repeat the sexual act with no joy and no pleasure. And then many of them become lesbians. They grow to hate men. They can't relate well to men. And so they find compassion and love and tenderness and care in another woman. Little boys being squeezed by fathers and uncles, being laid on, and then introduced to homosexual behavior. A father doing that to his own son, or an uncle doing that to his own son, turning the child out as a baby. The world is messed up. And what we're seeing manifest today in the open is the seeds coming to fruition of what was done in secret places. White people have never been abusers of their daughters. And there are some societies on this earth that practice this. Black as well as white. Asian as well as European. I want to know what makes this happen. First of all, sisters, men do not have a proper or healthy regard for women. That's number one. Men sick with religious misteaching. Notice how I said it, sisters. Sick with religious misteaching. Put women down. Oh yeah, did you read in the Genesis? Well, Adam was all right, honey, until that snake went to talking to that woman. And then that woman went to talking to that man, honey, and caused that poor Adam to eat that fruit. She just deceived Adam. Putting that burden on a woman's mind. Let me tell you something, sister. You ought to cast that foolishness off and never put it on your mind again. Let me tell you something. I don't care how much you want a man. If a man doesn't have the will to engage in what you want, you can't seduce him. He permits it. You can seduce a child, but you can't seduce somebody that's grown. I went to the house. I was selling my newspapers. I knocked on the door and said, "Final call." She said, "Sure is, baby." Just a minute, darling. Just a minute. She runs in the back and puts on one of the see-throughs and comes to the door and opens it just a crack, just enough for you to get a view and want to see more. Are you Mr. Seymour? Hard sales, and he puts his foot in the door and she said, fling wide the gate. Enter a fool. She seduced you. She showed you what you might have wanted to see. You didn't expect it, but thank God. And there you go, and when you fall, here you come. It was her. She, shut up. It's always you. It's always you. She did whatever she wanted to do. If you didn't want that, You could have said no and walked on out the door. So you stop looking at yourself, sister, in some silly role as some temptress. But don't. No, the weight is not on the woman. God don't charge her with it. God charges the man. Sisters, women have suffered in the world so terribly. So terribly. When a man does not have the proper understanding of the woman, he cannot hold her in the regard and esteem that she should have. When his life is not God-centered, his mind becomes pleasure-oriented. Mind not being God-centered, mind on pleasure, then she becomes the object of what? Pleasure. If you don't have a God-centered mind and a proper understanding of God and of yourself and of women, then even God-centered is not enough if it doesn't have proper knowledge and proper understanding. Then you will see women as an object of pleasure. And if a woman is nothing more than an object of pleasure, and you have lost God contact, then your daughters are more pleasure in your house. You understand what I'm saying? Sick, isn't it? Let's go on. A little painful, but it's all right. Beloved brothers and sisters, to look at women in a subhuman context is to do to them as you please and have no conscience about it. In the Arab world, prior to the advent of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the Arabs were guilty of what is called infanticide. Whenever a girl child was born, they buried the girl child alive. In many ancient societies of the Indians and whatnot, young girls, virgin girls, were used as a sacrifice to God. Never the young men, but the young girls. When a society has no respect for you as a female, then it follows a whole system of abuse will follow women. And it has followed women, brother. In every age, in every society, among every people, women are abused. It must end. And we who are becoming enlightened must stop this foolishness right now. And if you're guilty of this kind of behavior, I warn you, don't go back to it ever again. And sisters, if some father is molesting you, you must develop the courage to say no or get the hell out of that house and never go back there again. I warn you, don't give in to it. Resist evil, the scripture says, and the devil will flee from you. If you resist your father, you could shame that chump. Oh, yes. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that a woman can give a man a look that will freeze him. You don't even have to talk. So if you don't want to engage in foolishness, you just don't have to, because God has given you so many protective mechanisms. You just have to learn to use them and not be afraid to use them. Now, sisters, it's very serious. Don't you know in a society, you will kill your female children, and what will you do to the ones that got by? See? They're nothing. You don't develop their intelligence. I like you, I give you my daughter for favor with you. I just give you my daughter as she's a piece of meat. She has no say-so. In the Eastern world, they arrange marriages. In the Western world, nobody comes to your house and asks for your daughter. But she ain't in the house. They meet her in the alley and take her. When you find out about it, she's pregnant. Hardly ever does a man approach you as a father and say, brother, I would like to marry your daughter. Ain't got that kind of respect for you. So neither the Eastern world nor the Western world should be followed by us. We need to develop a new way. A new way. Now look, beloved brothers and sisters, I don't think I need to dwell on how these societies have affected men's attitudes toward women. In the Islamic world today, under the name of protection, women are mistreated. In some Islamic countries, they won't let a woman get a license to drive a car. In some Islamic countries, they don't fully educate. In some Islamic countries, she's mistreated. They can't use the Holy Quran as the base of this, though they try. The Quran began to die in the minds of the Islamic people shortly after the companions of the Prophet. And the old traditional way of looking at women began to come up and cloud the way God sees them. So now we need to look at the view of women that will